All right, welcome to another episode of the Baker Bros Show. What's up, Zach?
What's going on?
Fucking living it up.
I can dig it.
I've been thinking every time I was just talking about our childhood. Obviously, I was thinking of, every time I think about our childhood, I think back to obviously, and you're gonna remember this a little bit more. Um, Rotary dial phones, completely analog life. So when it came to us hooking up video games to TVs, you had your even before RGA, there was like the actual cable inlet hookup that you would have to
Yes.
screw in
Yes.
on like the Nintendo. Was that on the original Nintendo?
I think it was on the Super Nintendo for a time as well.
And then the adapters came out for the RGA.
Correct.
And then it was RGA from there.
Correct.
Um, yeah, every time I think about that, I think of we have an interesting we come from an interesting generation because we witnessed that changeover from rotary phones, hooking up technology, electronics like that, TVs that were 4 feet long, a 30 inch TV that was like 4 feet long, weighed 200 pounds. Um, it's cool to see the technology progression that we actually are sitting in front of now. You know what I mean? Even with the simple laptop and the microphone that we're using here.
Yeah.
Do you remember? Do you remember the first big thing that came out that was digital, that really kind of like changed the way you viewed what you were buying and using?
Well, I guess we never really used rotary phones. I remember playing on rotary phones, and I think Grandpa
Grandpa's,
Bill for sure had maybe even a rotary phone still hooked up. But it was all like the big brick blocked push button on the cord, not even cordless phones. I think if you look at what two of the things that I look at that I thought were pretty cool heading into the future, if I'm picking anything out, was the Virtual Boy. I thought was pretty cool. Even though that technology was just black and red, it wasn't very successful out of Nintendo. It was cool having something that felt like the beginning stages of virtual reality or new style of consoles. And then back in the day at the Solano Mall in Fairfield, they used to have a virtual arcade. So you could go play. That was the first time I ever like got in the booth, put the headset on,
I've never seen that.
and virtual reality. Yeah, you could use to play. I remember Dad took us, and I think both of us played, or maybe it was just me. I'm not sure at the time.
I was a little timid when I was young. I'm sure that probably would have scared the shit out of me.
It was cool as hell.
Yeah.
And you're so disoriented because you have no idea how to navigate it. Even back then, it was just polygons, it's all blocks, very blocky. But it's so goddamn immersive, even back then for its time. So I think those are the two where you were like, wow, like this is going to be the future. And then again, the Virtual Boy flopped, and then virtual reality, while I think was pioneering, but really dropped off. Like it disappeared, and then not until Oculus recently and like the PS4 and the Xbox options for virtual reality has started to really take hold.
Yeah, it's like the technology existed, but they didn't. They had to figure out a cost-effective way
Correct.
to mass produce it to get
Yeah.
it into households
Yeah.
with the Quest, or would you? It was the Oculus.
Oculus.
Yeah. All those VR things are obviously not working on this shit, but we've witnessed it kind of from, at least from the consumer side of things. We've witnessed it from the beginning to what it's become now. Which I don't want to fuck with any of that stuff. None of that fucking. I get motion sickness, so I feel like, and they have settings for that on there, but I know I'll get fucked up. Like even I've watched Mike streams has done a stream with it, and he said after a couple hours he'll get a headache and get dizzy and shit like that. So I know I'll probably get that pretty much immediately because I get immediate motion sickness. But um, yeah, it's been interesting growing up and starting out from these cartridge um, systems, then to the discs, and then eventually I honestly I haven't bought a physical game in I don't know how long. You know what I mean? I pay for Game Pass and I buy games just on from the Microsoft store, so It's funny seeing, and people talked about this. I remember people talking about, oh, how this was kind of kill the DVD industry, the CD industry, the physical copy industry, and stuff like that. And it was like you always thought, oh, it'd be around, and it is in some form and fashion, but it really did fucking completely take over this whole digital world that we live in. So much as to it's now gone to what the social scores that you can get is that in China. I know they've even discussed that bringing here to the States, which is just a control tactic. But well, that's for you guys to decide on your own. But I'm glad we didn't have everything that kids have nowadays when we were growing up. I'm glad that we were outside climbing trees, digging holes, throwing rocks at cars.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Just I feel like it's just where you're developing life skills.
Mm-hmm.
You're figuring out what it means to be a good person, a bad person. You're kind of developing a gut instinct, I feel like. When you get into so many situations as a kid, making dumb decisions, hanging out with your friends, I feel like you kind of really develop a conscience and a at least hopefully a good moral gut instinct. You know what I mean?
I can't say that kids are not playing outside or they're not, in fields or doing these things that are very classic kid activities. I imagine, depending on what your community looks like or what your city looks like, how safe's your neighborhood, what's the way of life, what state you might be in. Look, the entertainment is entertainment, and even when we had video games and DVDs or VHS and movies, we spent a lot of time doing that. But it was a combination of that. I remember during summer vacations, you'd maybe wake up, you play outside for a number of hours, you come in, you play video games, we go back out, and then kind of repeat the cycle. There might have been more being outside because games got old, or depending on, how bored you were. It might depend on how many friends you have in your neighborhood. Maybe you don't have any friends in your neighborhood. Maybe it's just you and your siblings.
Yeah, you could be a fucking dork.
Yeah, so
could be a fucking goober. You know.
So
what I
mean? there's a number of aspects that kind of are a sign of the times. But I can't speak to the validity that every kid is not playing outside. But I imagine that if you look at the cultural aspect, a lot of people live their lives online, whether it's through PC, whether it's through console. Now, you don't even have to be playing games to be wrapped up in technology. People get lost in TikTok. They get lost in YouTube. We watch our content creators. They become extensions of our hobbies and ourselves.
Yeah, it will. It can consume a lot of your time, and it does. People come home and sit in front of screens for
hours,
most of their life.
Correct.
It's pretty wild. It's scary because I've catch myself doing that a lot. You know what I mean? And I've definitely have broken that cycle lately. But again, doing this has brought me back to. I'm definitely on YouTube and Instagram and everything. I'd say a little bit more conscientiously, intending to do some type of work, but you do end up on there getting distracted and shit like that. So, yeah, it's I can't talk. I feel like we had it a little bit better, man. But that's coming from a mindset of thinking back and thinking of the shit we were able to get away with as kids. Like, we weren't necessarily doing good shit, but there's there's more surveillance and cameras now and shit like that. You know?
Yeah, back in the day, you could get away with a lot of mischief.
I'm just driving through my neighborhood thinking about this. All these Ring cameras. If you think that people can't tap into any camera system in the world, especially like governments and like that, like
they're already doing it.
It's a whole entire network for them.
They're already doing it.
Anytime a company, a security company, offers you their services, it's obviously a backdoor in from some type of government agency that is in contact with them. So don't fool yourselves, you motherfuckers. They'll find you. But I was just driving down the neighborhood thinking, like, you pass by every house. It's like, next house sees your car, next house sees your car. Go by with your little door ring bell. Your
Ring camera.
Your ring camera doorbell. If it's facing.
Yeah, imagine trying to get away with a crime and you've driven 5 city blocks or you've gone through just a suburb neighborhood. Your car has been caught on every door camera or every ring camera and on every block. So if you just say, oh, well, I was in that neighborhood, well, first of all, they're going to have your cell data location.
Yeah.
Then they're going to have you driving 5 city blocks to wherever you committed that crime. In the car you're driving, probably what clothes you were wearing. It's going to be real hard for you to do those things. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's some kind of deterrent. Although, if you look at our society, it doesn't seem to stop a lot of people from doing a lot of nonsense. But I was going to go into a different tangent and just save it for this. But yeah, like if you look at our childhood, we definitely got away with fucking criminal activity. And I don't think we were a total nuisance. I mean, we did stuff like knock on doors and run. We did stink bombs on people's doors. We had some episodes of
some
pieces
mischief,
of shit. Let's talk about my 6th grade and talk about the preschool.
94.
It had to be 95. And so there was a preschool. I don't know why we did this. We were just bored. And this is not any fault of our parents. Our parents worked all the time. But Mom, during summer vacation, we would be kind of left alone. We didn't really have a babysitter at that time, at least during those days. So we just kind of hang out. And we lived in a duplex, in a cool little, like, inner duplex. So you'd actually have to drive down, not a block or so, but maybe, I don't know, 25
yards.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, something like
maybe.
that. Yeah. And so it was just kind of all
yards.
fenced around. So, and our neighborhood was really safe. It was just
it was like a little compound.
Yeah,
it was like a Mormon compound.
There's
no Mormons there.
No, but everyone was super cool. There was really never any drama or besides us.
There was a few instances that we'll mention. We'll get into this.
Yeah,
we'll get into this now.
it just depends.
Let's
That's
talk
what I'm
about.
saying.
Okay,
yeah,
we're gonna tell you guys about Kidder Avenue.
Yeah, Kidder Avenue, Fairfield, California. We lived in these duplexes. We had some friends, Abraham and his sisters. Abraham was one of my best friends.
Shout out Abraham.
Yeah, if you ever hear this, miss
Shout
you,
out
buddy.
Barbara.
Hope you're doing well. Yeah, your family was wonderful. Your mom was wonderful. Great family.
Part of our childhood. Part of our life, man. You went to see Spawn with them.
Yeah,
their mom took us to see Small.
Yeah,
which is awesome.
Yeah, but we used to all the neighborhood kids for the most part. Some kids stayed to themselves or were too young. And then Jacob lived next to us. Jacob, if you hear this, you're a piece of shit.
Fuck you, Jacob.
But no, Jacob, I had some good times with you. You try to sell me out and say that I stole a blank check from your sister. I was in 6th grade. What the fuck was I going to do with a blank check?
Right. Yeah.
And it was you that stole it.
You scumbag.
Because when I came over to your dad's house, you showed me the check, and then had the nerve when your sister was like, "Hey, where's this blank check?" You're like, "Oh, I think Zach has it." Cool, thanks, bud. You also stole my toy cell phone, my bubblegum toy cell phone, which is badass, and my first edition of War Machine.
This fucking piece of shit.
And what's so sad about it is he was super wealthy.
He was, yeah.
I know his mom lived in the same neighborhood as we did, so a little bit more poor, dual income. But his dad worked for Pacific Bell at the time, lived up in, like, kind of, not Green Valley, but near Waterman in Fairfield.
Yeah, I remember. So we went and spent the night there one time.
Yeah.
And it was the biggest house I've ever been in my life.
At that time.
Yeah,
that time. Yeah.
Probably still pretty close.
In hindsight, I think because we were so poor, going into the house was like,
you have stairs?
Yeah. See, for poor, that's a poor people thing.
You know what? I think
when you go to a 2-story home, it's a revelation.
Their big kitchen and then into their family area, and then seeing their slider door was weird for me.
Yes.
Seeing a glass slider door.
Yeah. It took us a long time to really experience these things. But so I digress. But what I'm ultimately trying to say is, like, during that time, and when we were getting into shit, like, again, knocking on doors, we would purchase stink bombs from the ice cream man. We'd knock on people's doors and run, but we'd break the stink bomb so when they opened the door, these are kids, and we already understood about vacuums. So when you open the door, the smell would waft into people's houses. We used to. I remember we spray painted once. That was stupid. It wasn't even graffiti. We just spray painted some lines. I remember one time the owner of the duplex, he lived out in the front, kind of a really nice home in the front, and he came out and he was like scolding us. I think for some reason, he zoned in on me. Everyone zoned in on me, and even though they were right, they didn't know it was me. And I was the mastermind of all this shit. I would get my little brother and everyone around us to throw oranges at the preschool. We just throw them at the roof, but then Barbara broke a window. Then I came up with
God damn it, Barbara.
the stink bomb. And we'll talk about the stink bomb momentarily. I came up with the spray painting, the knocking on doors and running. I absolutely was the mastermind, but I didn't understand why everyone always zoomed in on me as the mastermind.
I think you seem to be the oldest kid standing there.
For some reason, people thought I was the puppeteer, which I was, but they had never had any proof.
It was you and Abraham about what same age.
Same age, yeah.
And other than that, everybody was
younger,
progressively younger.
Yeah, there. I think Abraham's sister was older by a year or so.
Yeah,
but
she
had
an
didn't
older
really.
Sister, not Barbara though.
No, not Barbara. Barbara was
young,
about your age, yeah. And then there was Andrew and Vivian, and then the two Asian kids across.
And Mike and Jay.
Mike and Jay were older, way older, but they were cool.
Who was Amanda?
Amanda and...
Oh, man. She had huge tits, remember?
Yeah, but they were... That was...
So context, we were kids, and she had a baby, so she would just pop those puppies out and feed that child and keep it healthy, which was fine. But as a kid, like 8-9-year-old kid,
yeah,
like seeing those massive mammaries that was pretty wild.
Yeah, I guess at that time. We found our first nudie magazine.
Is that
there.
the first titty I ever saw in my life?
It might be.
Holy shit. Shout out Amanda, dude.
She's going to hear this and be like, what
no,
the
she's
fuck?
not.
She's a pervert kid.
She's in jail.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
I found our first nudie mag. That's when we started lighting shit on fire. Got it through our pyro stage.
Oh man. But hold on. So as far as couple of things, real quick. As far as the front of the duplex, the owner, that house that he lived in. Do you remember he would like be out in his garage sometimes?
I remember that. Yeah.
Do you remember he gave us live ammunition?
No.
Yes,
but that sounds
did.
familiar.
Yes,
I remember our cousin Matt coming over with rounds, and we were near his house, and we were like setting them off with a hammer.
Okay.
Like little 22s.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
That was with Matt.
Yeah, I was listening.
Yeah. Which Matt, you also stole money from me.
Matt, you fuck, and now he hit the lotto.
Yeah. So I think you owe me like $22.
No, the interest, Matt.
Matt's our cousin, and I love you, but.
Gotcha.
You stole $22 from me, and I want it in 7th grade. Anyways, continue.
Dude, the interest on that is monumental.
I think he can afford it.
Fuck, what were we just talking about?
Should we talk about... We were talking about... He gave us ammunition. He
gave us live, like, fucking...
I think he wanted us to kill ourselves.
Assault rifle rounds, because I remember we opened them and got the gunpowder out.
I remember that.
Fire. Remember
I remember that. But I didn't remember. I don't remember that being for some reason.
Shout out old guy giving us live ammunition.
Yeah, but he was a dick though.
He wasn't. He did not like the people around there.
He was the owner. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, nah. Well, it was a bunch of poor people back then.
It was. I mean, a lot of those people were pretty tight on funds.
So real quick, I used to have a dream that I think started around that time when we lived there. That next to, if you come out of the duplexes and come out to the driveway out onto the street, and then there was his house, there was the next door neighbor house to his down Kidder Avenue.
Yeah.
I used to have a dream that I would, for some reason, walk in there, and I would be looking for. You remember those little sound balls, those little Chinese sound balls that kind of made that.
Yeah, they're like the meditation or the stress balls.
And you're supposed to circle them in your hand.
Yeah.
I would go looking for those. I don't know why we had those as kids. We had like several sets of those.
Dad had given it to us. I don't know where the hell they got it from.
No, maybe, you know what? Did we get those at
garage sale? No.
Garage sale.
No, Dad for sure gave those to us because he gave me my first pair. Yeah.
What a weirdo.
I don't remember
You're
what happened to
weird,
my car.
Dad. What the fuck?
And you had cool ones. You have the yin and yang ones. You still have those ones?
Those might be in the garage somewhere, but I lost a lot of that shit over the years moving so many times.
Yeah, those were clean. You had the clean ones. Mine were just kind of plain. But you can still get those nowadays.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we find those online right now. Anyways, I'd have a dream that I would walk in there looking for those, and it'd be dark and I'd be like right behind the couch, like looking for it. But behind the couch is not the wall; it was like this archway, and there's two dark hallways leading down. And fucking this dude who's Dracula would come out, right? Because he had the vampire fangs, but he was fucking naked, dog. Yeah, I shit you not. A
I think you told me this
recurring
before.
nightmare. Dude would walk out naked, full like grown ass man. This is what maybe I have like repressed memories. Maybe I was like assaulted as a child.
I always wondered
Not
that too.
jokingly.
Yeah, I wonder if that too.
This and I don't think that at all. Seriously, but
I understand what the context of what you're saying.
But yeah, exactly. It gives you that feeling. But I have there's no, that never existed. I never went down there. I've never walked past there. Right. I know I've never been in that home before.
Right.
But wouldn't it have been goddamn scary to walk in there then as a kid after having that dream and everything's the same?
Yeah, but you know what's so funny? I forgot about this story for years, and it's so funny that I vaguely remember you telling me this story.
That place fucking... I feel like that place had a major impact on our life. I don't think we were there that long, but...
Again, we talk about this, and every time I talk about life, for some reason, 6th grade seems to be a biomarker in my existence of so much that's happened. Or maybe I just remember a huge portion of those times, albeit good or bad for some reason. But yeah, Kidder seems to be a big, substantial part of our lives. It was through a huge portion of the end, or towards the end of our elementary lives, and the people we met and the existence that we had. So it was substantial.
Yeah.
In a lot of our memories and our nonsense that we used to do. Build clubhouses. We had a big field back there with a creek. We used to go back there. That used to be the best place, especially during summer after the growth, because you could play army and you could build. Again, we could build bases. We used to go crawdad fishing.
That's what it's funny. That's what a lot of Fairfield was at that time, is just large empty fields.
Yeah.
It is now condos.
Yeah, it's all townhouses now.
But that was a big fucking field.
Yeah, it's so funny because eventually, when those turned into townhomes, one of my best friends' girlfriend, which is now his wife, lived there.
Oh, really?
So I remember going to her house for the first time and showing up. I'm like, literally where her house is where the creek used to be. I'm like, where your foundation is. We used to play in the field.
Yeah.
Like we used to go crawdad hunting around here, and now it's a fucking home, and people will never know those times. So yeah. It's just funny how childhood works. And again, coming full circle, what we're talking about is where kids are at, what they do nowadays, and how much they spend maybe inside or in front of a screen, whereas we used to spend our summers. And I remember waking up early, getting excited. We'd be out there 15 hours
at least.
Come back in,
8 a.m. 9 a.m.
Yeah, I'm knocking on somebody's door. Hey, you want to go out in the field? Right. Hop the fence. Boom, you're in the field for hours.
Yeah,
hours.
Yeah, that field was
clutch.
Fucking cool. There was there was deep ass like tractor tire tracks out there. Like
there was stuff that happened, yeah.
Like large equipment tire tracks out there. So like you said, when the grass grew over those tracks, it was a fucking tunnel. Mm-hmm. And I remember like literally crawling through those like grass tunnels.
It was massive. It was a big ass field.
It was. There was crawdads in the creek, which was absolutely fucking cool. With the little hot dogs we'd take out there and
catch with them, little fishing line. Yeah, I remember
we kill these fucking things? Did we kill these crawdads?
No, I think we're actually pretty nice. We just threw them back, but it was fun to catch them.
Yeah.
I remember I fell in the creek once. That sucked. I was soaking, but back then you didn't give a fuck. Like that was fucking shit water. It's disgusting, nasty ass runoff, and I'm out there fucking in jeans rolled up to my ankles, muddy, rolling over rocks so we could try to find more crawdads. Yeah, it was a good ass time.
Yeah, there's entirely too much pornography in that field. It was everywhere.
Yeah, we found a couple nudie cards, the playing cards.
The playing cards were wild, dude.
Remember that? And a couple magazines.
Who the fuck wants to look at a fucking
playing card? I think it's just for dudes who are playing cards with each other with something to like kind of look at and play. I don't get it, but there's people bought nudie pins, right? The ones that you tilt and it takes their clothes off. I don't know, like female body is great and it's fun to look at, but I don't want like memorabilia of naked
it's not
women.
The time and place for everything. I don't want a bear cozy that
has
like
exactly
naked titties
hilarious.
on it.
Could you imagine? or that is just a pair of tits.
I'll take that.
Yeah,
but
soft. Do you remember one time during summer, you, me, and Abraham were sitting on top of the fence in the field, and someone fired a weapon? Someone shot?
Yeah, I was going to get into this.
Yeah, and the police came. That was a big deal. I remember we used to tell people, "Oh yeah, it shot the fence near us." We used to tell stupid ass lies, but yeah, that was scary.
Well, we were sitting on the fence and watched a gentleman climb up a ladder onto a building across from us.
There was a trailer park.
Yeah.
There's this random ass trailer park that used to be
But it was only
on the opposite end of the field, away from us.
Yeah, it was quite a ways away, but we saw him getting up on top of the ladder and then because it's just a flat, like, it's a flat roof. There wasn't like raised edges around it or anything like that. And we saw him get up there, and I believe he had a rifle or a shotgun or something.
Could have killed himself.
But
I remember the police came hella quick.
He laid down up there. He laid down there up there. We heard a shot ring off, and it just so happened. I don't know if you remember it like this, but a cop immediately was driving down the road.
Yeah, it was
right there.
Yeah.
It was as if the timing was so perfect that it just happened to be that way, or they already had gotten a call and were coming to that location, and that dude, he either shot at the cops or let off a shot somewhere.
To somebody, yeah.
And then we flipped off that fence and got the fuck out of there.
Yeah, that shit was scary.
That was wild, dude.
Yeah, that's probably my first experience.
There was more. It wasn't just us three. It was us three on the fence.
Yeah, but the more kids
the rest
down.
of the kids couldn't climb up on the fence. They weren't big enough.
Yeah.
And I was just like big enough and athletic enough.
Man, our calisthenics used to be fire. We used to be able to just foot fences no problem. And they were tall. I mean, we were short little kids.
Yeah, well,
and we were fucking.
You were.
Well, yeah, but.
No, at that age.
Come on, bro.
At that age, I wasn't that big yet.
You were 2 feet nothing.
I was fucking 3'2". I was trace foot dose.
But yeah, I mean.
Yeah, what the fuck is that? Oh, it's a fly.
Yeah. Yeah, we get them by the boatload here, especially because we have to keep the window open. Nice.
Yeah, it's kids definitely growing up different nowadays in front of screens and shit. Though we were running around doing fucking mayhem and getting into stuff and.
But that's twofold. Like, I mean, it depends on how safe, again, your community is. And we've seen a growing propensity for terrible people that do terrible things. And it's different when you could just leave your kids out, like, hanging out in the neighborhood all day without the fear of them being either shot or kidnapped. And nowadays, fucking people do this terrible ass shit.
Yeah, is this just being more noticed now? Is this being more noticed because there's so much more news feeds in your face all the time that it's just like it's becoming noticed now that kids are being abducted more so because of that? Or is it just like, is it happening more so nowadays?
I don't think it's nothing new. I think this has always been going on. And probably when we even look at like the Epstein Island type shit, like that's even nothing new, right? I think there's always
that's the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, I think that's
if they're not going to release the names of any, like, you're protecting people.
How is Maxwell in prison for trafficking people or kids to nobody?
To nobody.
How is that possible?
Correct.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. So what you're telling me is that it's okay to go do that, but if you're setting it up, it's bad.
It's probably a lot of judges that are on there, and it's probably a lot of powerful people.
100%.
So, I mean, first of all, if you just look at the flight records and see some of the individuals going on there, you already know that the people that he was hanging out with are quite powerful and have a lot of reach.
Yeah.
And if any of that information never got out and into the wrong hands, how damaging could it be? And imagine these people with that type of wealth, what you could buy. That means you could probably buy a lot of people's silence. Or you could tell people, hey, this needs to go away. And what's your price? And everyone has a price. And it probably doesn't even have to be that much. But I imagine someone offered you $1 million to shut your mouth about something. A lot of people are probably going to take that money.
Yeah, in a heartbeat.
And it's just $1 million. Imagine if it's more. So the reach is there, and again, we don't have to go further down the rabbit hole on this, but I'm telling you that it's nothing new that Epstein is a tip of the iceberg. I think he was a weapon more than it was anything else. He's an absolute weapon used by maybe the CIA, maybe by our own government in some facet, maybe by other powerful people to get other powerful people in line, or to keep you in check. Yeah, absolutely. Could absolutely be. It's an absolute weapon, but it's a trade, the human traffic trade, and kids unfortunately are a high priced commodity. It's disgusting as fuck. If you fuck kids, you're an absolute piece of shit. You should be castrated. You probably should just face death. It should just be an absolute death sentence immediately.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you could operate as a human being and feel like that. You know what I mean?
I really don't understand the sexual fascination. For me personally, I would want someone with experience. I want an adult woman that has a consensual aspect of pleasure for each other, not this weird, child,
what the
power. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, fuck all that shit, dog.
It's creepy, dude. That's a fucking weirdo behavior. And if you have the capacity or the wherewithal to do those type of things, let me ask you this. Do people with access to infinite resources in life, do you just get bored? Have you had every model? Have you had every porn star? People? Yeah, and you've had it all, and everything's become boring.
Oh, for people who are doing the Jeffrey Epstein Island trips and
then you go and you're like, hey, I got this 16-year-old.
I think there's
fresh virgin, and someone's like, oh yeah, let me try that out.
I think it comes along with running around in those wealthy circles. I think it's just a byproduct of the mental state people get left in when you are raised in a egocentric, materialistic, looking at people without wealth as non-human, subhuman. Mm-hmm. So I can use you. I can use your body for my pleasure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then there's another layer to it of, once again, you have all the money, you have these resources. It can start perpetuating abuse. So if somebody's been abused, and that happens a lot I think you find people who are abusers. It happened to them in their past.
Sure.
So it starts perpetuating. Okay, this wealthy person got away with it because they could, and then they're fucking, because they did it to their fucking kid or their stepdaughter, their stepson, or their nephew or niece, but they're still involved in wealth. So these people grow up with the same problems, and they start abusing people the same way because they're mentally ill or have fallen victim to this, but they also have wealth, so they can get away with it. So I feel like if you're in a club where you can use your financial resources and your connections to wealthy people and to people in high places, then you can get away with fucking all kinds of stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, our government has sent us to war without our consent. I mean, in the last 2 decades. So
yeah, I don't believe in justice, and I think it's justice for thee, not for me, that type of situation. Especially, I mean, we see it rampantly through. I mean, even when Epstein was first arrested, and then he was going home on the weekends, and then he was getting away with shit.
It's nothing.
And then he finally got rearrested. The only time it starts to hit is when it becomes more in public eye, and the government knows, hey, we're gonna lose. This is going to be a problem, right? And then somebody's got to be the scapegoat.
Right.
And then guess what? You're arrested, then you're killed under 24-hour watch lockdown.
Bro.
You happen to hang yourself, and you randomly have 42 orange jump ropes in your cell for some reason. Come on. The cameras just happen not to work that day? Come on, dude.
Our
None of it makes sense.
Conveniently, we can land something on Mars, but we lost this. Sorry.
No, dude.
That got really dark. Sorry.
It's fixed. No, the whole game is rigged. The whole thing is fucking fixed. It's against you 100%.
And that's you know what? We preach this a lot, and we're not trying to be conspiracy theorists. It's just the statistics of things.
Just look at it.
People with money don't want other people making money. That's just the gist of it. That's why capitalism is such a cutthroat world. You know what I mean? You're either successful and you're making the the market share of what you do, or you're just picking up scraps, or you're trying to survive and you're trying not to be become irrelevant within a very short period of time, which happens with anything and everything you can think of. That's just how our society operates now. But yeah, we preach this a lot, and we're probably going to say this a lot in the future on the podcast. And if you're listening again, we appreciate it. But we always try to instill this in our younger brothers when we talk to them. Do for yourself. Don't rely on the government, the mechanic shop, the grocery store. Learn how to fix your own car. Learn how to take care of yourself and become financially intelligent, because our government and our state and our public school systems do not teach people how to do that.
They want you ignorant.
So it's very important. Do for yourself. If I love the quote and the saying, if you want something done right, do it yourself. And it's not saying that you're better than anybody else doing it. It's that if you want the peace of mind that it's been done right, and you want to put in the time and effort to actually learn something and have the skill to do it. Just do that and do it yourself and learn it. Don't waste time. If you have a goal, if you have a dream, do it. I've wasted a lot of time trying to get this started and just doing this. And by no means is this going to be a huge successful thing. But at the same time, this is a hobby that I wanted to set up and get started on. So don't procrastination is devastating. I have huge anxiety problems. I hate leaving my house and shit like that. It's a problem, but don't let that hold you back from doing what you want to do. If you have anything you're trying to attain, a goal you're trying to attain, set it up and do it, and just don't count on other people.
Mm-hmm.
And not to say you can't trust anybody. I'm not saying cut people off and don't trust anybody. But if there is something that you can do yourself, do it. Take the opportunity to do it, because A, it's going to come out right, and B, you're going to learn. If it doesn't come out right, you're going to learn how to do it right, and you're going to do it for yourself. Build yourself, build each other. Stop buying from these massive corporations and shit like that. I posted this the other day, and I'm dead serious about this. Like, if we spent a fraction of the time and financials and efforts that we put into fucking watching Netflix and paying for it and buying shit off of Amazon, go talk to your friends. I'm sure somebody runs a fucking business. Go support them. Go fucking ask for my PayPal and send me thousands of dollars. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, go support your friends, support your family. It's easy to say, again, you can put stuff off for other people to do. Just do it for yourself and hold the people around you down. Because I feel like that's just kind of disappeared from life nowadays. Hold your people down around you. You know?
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, I think you hit on a lot of good points, and people need to be self-sufficient in the best way that they can. The whole system's built to want you to be financially ignorant, be in debt, be further in debt. That's why everything's so goddamn out of reach and expensive.
Yeah, if you think it's okay that like our government knows how much we owe in taxes and then we have to pay to figure it out, if you think that's okay,
it's a fucking joke.
This thing's upside down. Wrong.
Then you submit it and then say, oh, that's incorrect. Okay, then why am I doing it then? If you know what it is, send me the bill.
People, you start talking like this, and people, swear to God, you're not patriotic, and you're this or you're that, and it's like, this isn't about the country and the flag that I, was born under. This is about wealthy people
toying with our lives.
Toying with the financial system to their benefit.
Correct. Full manipulation.
And if you have something opposite to say to that, then you're part of the problem.
Well, look at the insider trading that goes on, the bailouts that go on. Look, if you had a small business and then it fucking failed, it'd be fuck you, too bad. Pay me. Oh, you can't, you're insolvent, we're going to take that, we're going to take your house, we're going to take your car, and that's just it. You're just going to be fucked. And that's capitalism. You should be appreciative. And then when the banks do it, it's, bad investments, we just had a hard time, we need this to get through this. Isn't that interesting? It's always the incorrect people that are getting bailed out of situations.
And again, that is the club that we're talking about. That is the wealthy club that if you are in it, then you're in it, and if you're not, you're very much not.
Yeah.
So, this got super kind of political and fucking all that stuff. We're supposed to kind of be lighthearted on here, but that's all facts. Everything we just stated is facts. So if you have a problem with that, do me a favor. Make sure there's space behind you. Take a step back and literally fuck your own face. Zach, you got anything you want to add?
No, I think, again, where this kind of went off the tangent was about children. And we're talking about the vulnerability of kids.
Don't fuck with kids, people.
And, growing up, it's become more difficult, and kids face new challenges or new distractions. So, when we're talking about really the semblance of where we came up as kids, how easy it was, the things that we had access to and things we didn't, things that we did, and where kids are at nowadays and the things that they're subjected to. So, while, yes, it did go off into a tangent, it all makes sense, I think, at the end of the day.
So, yeah. Analog, digital games, don't fuck with kids.
Epstein didn't kill himself.
Epstein did not fucking kill himself. That dude's too much of a pussy to do that shit.
He was murdered. Release the tapes. Release the flight
Zach,
logs.
you got any socials you want to put out?
No, I don't have any socials.
All right, everybody, thank you for joining us. Go check out Baker Bro Show on IG, and you can also check out our other podcast at Measure of Sound on IG, Instagram as well. And if you want to check out my Instagram, it's tip.base, BASE, at tipbase Instagram. Check it out. Peace.